So we are going to be covering the classical sun salutations today, and these sun salutations are a sequence of poses. There are actually 12 different poses or 12 poses that are going to be put into a particular sequence. And this sequence is designed to help warm your body for your day or for the beginning of a practice. It's great as a standalone practice as well. You can just do the sun salutations, like maybe 6 or 10 rounds of it, and feel quite good after doing it. But the true intention is to begin your day with it. The word or the way that we translate this is Surya Namaskar, and it's sun prostrations. Okay, or namaskar. You start to hear the word namaste in there, that namas root word. And that really means to bow or to prostrate to the rising sun. And we're not, we're not worshiping the sun, but what we are doing is we are honoring and acknowledging that a new day has come, and we're greeting our day with gratitude and with a celebration for the fact that we get to be alive again. So happy Monday, yay. We get to do this. So we get to be alive. We get to just celebrate the gift of being here, right? And it may not seem that way sometimes, but it truly puts it in perspective that we have a lot to be grateful for. We have a lot to learn and to celebrate about being here. So with this practice, this is a classical sun salutation variation. Those of you who have practiced yoga before or in other locations may have done a variation of the sun salutations in those other studio or gym classes or even online classes. Some sun salutation series will include other poses like chaturanga dandasana or even upward facing dog. So if you've heard of any of those words or those terms as you've been going through those practices, know that we're actually not going to be covering those poses in this particular course, as they warrant themselves to a lot more flexibility and strength than the beginner truly should have. And that those are, in my opinion, intermediate and advanced postures. I think that chaturanga is actually a very advanced posture, and if done improperly can cause a bit of harm to our bodies. So within this practice, we're going to be doing more of the classical sun salutation variation, and this one kind of directly applies more towards the Hatha yoga lineage compared to the Ashtanga yoga lineage. And with this one, we're going to see a lot more of the lunging in it. We're going to see knees, chest, chin, and cobra to replace the chaturanga and the upward facing dog. So you're going to have very similar parts to it, but it's still going to be a very heat building practice. It's going to be a very stimulating and awakening practice for you. So going back to that ha and ta, this is going to be a very ha practice for you. We're not going to be learning 12 new poses though. What's great about this sequence is that you're going to see some of these poses actually repeat themselves, and they're going to show up almost like a mirror or like bookends, where the first and last pose are the exact same, the second pose and the second to last pose are exactly the same, etc. Okay. And then you've got the good stuff in the middle, which is the vinyasa, which is the knees, chest, chin, cobra, and down dog. So if we don't have any questions, I'd like to get started. Yeah, no questions? All right. You will want your towel today. Okay, just have that handy. I will let you know when to, if you have a need for it, I will let you know as it comes up. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to come on to our back. And we're going to make our way into our corpse pose. You can choose to do your half corpse with your knees bent, your feet a little bit wider, and your knees can collapse into each other. Or you can come with your legs straight out in front of you into your full corpse pose. The feet are going to be a little bit wider than the hips, and the toes turn out away from each other. Start to shimmy and shift yourself around and see if you can even get your shoulder blades to rest underneath your body and your head to be where it's in a neutral place. Your chin and your nose are pointed up towards the ceiling or the sky if you're outside. I want you to bring your arms down by your sides into a downward V shape. And we're going to lift our right arm up off the floor. And just as we lift it up, I want you to hover it about 1 inch off the ground and then lengthen through your middle finger. Reach as far away from your body as you can. You're going to notice that your shoulder blade and your collarbone are going to move away from your body, creating space in the right side of your neck. Slowly release, keeping that length, bringing the top of the right hand down and the palm facing up. You can allow that hand to curl again. And let's do the same thing with your left arm. Reaching the left hand up about 1 inch or so, hovering it, and then lengthening through your left fingertips. Lengthen. Good. Notice how the shoulder blade moves, the collarbone moves, and they create some space away from the neck, and then lowering the top of the hand onto the floor and allowing the hand to curl. Close the eyes if you haven't already. Relax the mouth and jaw. See if you can drop into a slower form of breathing. Drawing the breath into your belly. Letting it rise slowly into your chest and climbing up into the low throat. And then exhaling out the throat, chest, and belly. Breathing into belly, chest, and throat. And exhaling out. For these first few rounds of breath, feel free to open up your mouth to release the breath. Sometimes that encourages more relaxation. Breathing in through the nose. Feeling the 360-degree circumference of the torso, and then exhaling, maybe opening up the mouth and letting out a sigh. And for your next few breaths, just keeping the mouth closed as you breathe out. Welcoming breath into the body. And just take notice of how the breath feels right now. If you're noticing any tightness in the chest and the ribs, see if you can just simply notice without judging. Imagine that you are taking inventory without criticizing or judging, not labeling as good or bad or something that needs to be changed. Just notice where you are right now. Good. Then from here, start to bring your feet together. If your knees are bent, I want you to straighten your legs out in front of you if that doesn't bother your back. And as we bring our feet together, I want you to turn your toes straight up towards the ceiling. So your knees and toes turn straight up towards the ceiling. The feet are going to be flexed. I want you to feel your inner thighs roll towards the floor. So we're going to be in more of a neutral position from our thighs. And then walk your arms down to the sides of your body with the palms facing in towards you. So your thumb's going to be pointed upwards. I want you to next imagine the front of your ribs, these lower ribs, right at the very base of your sternum would be your your xiphoid process. I want you to feel that this particular area is going to sort of knit in towards each other or lace up towards each other. Okay, so feeling how they're coming together and down. It's not going to be in a rigid way because as we breathe, we're going to feel that there's going to be expansion, but I don't want these lifting or flaring where our mid-back pops up off the ground. Okay, so I want you to inhale, raise your hands straight up towards the sky. So now the arms are vertical, palms are facing in towards each other. It's like you're holding a present or a ball over in front of your chest. Without moving your ribs, we're going to let the arms travel as far as they'll let you go overhead. Now just move slowly here to try to keep those ribs pressing down towards the ground. Your thumbs may or may not touch the ground, and one arm might be slightly different and more flexible than the other. Inhale all the way back up again, straight up towards the sky, and then exhale, return the arms back down by your sides. Okay, so we're going to change the breathing pattern on this. We're going to make this a little bit smoother, more fluid transition. So inhale, you're going to bring your hands all the way straight up and then continue to let those hands travel all the way overhead as far as they'll let you go. Again, keeping those front ribs down. And then exhale, the arms reach up and all the way back down by your sides. Inhale as you bring the arms straight up again and all the way overhead, keeping those ribs laced in. And then exhale, the hands reach up and all the way back down by your sides. Inhale, the arms go up, overhead, and exhale as the arms go up and down by your sides. So keep going as we're doing this. We're just going to start noticing that if you're making compensations by letting those ribs flare, you've most likely gone past your edge, okay? And if you've gone past your edge, we don't want to be going into those compensations as they change the alignment of the body. And it's okay if we don't go all the way down to the ground, especially because that might not be our edge. You might notice that the edge might be getting a little bit shifted as we continue to practice, as we continue to move. And that maybe the hands get closer to the ground as you start to warm up the body and the shoulders especially. All right, one more time. Arms reaching up and overhead. Good, keeping those ribs down and then bringing your arms all the way down by your sides. Let's tuck your right knee in towards your chest. Hands either grabbing a hold of the back of the thigh or the front of the shin. Left leg is still going to remain actively working as the back of the thigh presses into the ground. Good, toes point up. So I'm not going to tell you the name of the pose just yet because I want you to just in your mind, think about it. Maybe you can even say it out loud. Say the name of the pose, and I'm going to tell you in about 3, 2, 1. If you haven't said it yet, go for it. Wind releasing pose. Okay, so wind releasing pose. So just try to quiz yourself every once in a while as you're going through this practice. I will repeatedly tell you the names of these poses just so you get more familiar with it. Good. Breathing in, letting the belly fill up, feeling how your right thigh presses up against your ascending colon, and exhaling all the way out. Good. Left knee tucks in to meet the right. So both legs are going to hug into the body. Let the knees and the ankles touch, and you can rock yourself side to side. I like to almost feel like I'm walking my hips away from the rest of the body. So literally feeling one hip move further and further away, one side of the hip, as I start to rock onto that side. So it creates some space in that back, You might feel those spinal erectors starting to be massaged or stretched out a little bit. All right, come back into stillness. Keep your left knee tucked in, coming into wind releasing pose on the other side. So right leg goes out in front of you, left knee squeezes in, and then slightly out towards the side, towards our outer left shoulder. Firm, right thigh down towards the ground, and keeping right foot actively working here. Good. So this side is working the descending colon. Okay, so is that exit strategy for our waste, our elimination. Good. And taking another full breath in, belly fills up. And emptying all the way out. Good. Slowly tuck your right knee in to meet the left. Both knees hug in again. We're going to rock side to side just for a moment or two. And then from here, I want you to keep your knees tucked in, send the hands straight up, and then open the arms out wide into a T shape. So palms are facing up, knees are still hugging in. Let your knees tip over to the right, letting the feet come down to the ground, and then anchor your left shoulder to the floor. You might notice if you might have some tension in your low back, your left knee might be lifted up pretty high. If you want to, you can place a towel or a pillow or even a block in between your knees. And that might feel a little bit nicer and not as intense of a stretch there. Good. Another full breath into your left chest or left lung. And deep breath out. Good. And then lifting your knees up through center, inhaling and then exhaling the knees all the way over to the left. Let your right shoulder stay down on the ground, and then let those knees and hips twist over to the left side. Looking out over your right fingertips helps to complete that spinal twist. Again, full breaths in and out through the nose. And then slowly inhale, bring the knees all the way up through center. Let the hands grab a hold of whatever you can, either back of the thighs or the front of the shins. And I want you to pull your head up to meet those knees, squeezing in, tucking in tightly. Good, and then lower your head and shoulders down, letting the head release down. We're going to roll over onto one side, all the way over, and then maybe letting your head rest on top of your arm. I don't have as much space with the computer here for myself, but your top hand is going to be on the floor. Your top leg is going to extend out as you push into your hand. Slowly make your way up to an easy sitting position. Cool. All right, so easy sitting position, Sukhasana. We're going to do some wrist stretches now. I want you to take your right hand out in front of you. Palm is going to be facing forward and the fingertips pointed down. Use your left hand to reach from the back. You're going to grab a hold of your thumb and pull back. Okay, so try to keep the other fingertips still pointed down, and then see if you can lower your shoulders away from your ears. When we have our shoulders up by our ears in this fashion, it actually creates a stress response. In a way, our body responds to stress most likely by doing this, by shoulders lifting up by our ears. And when our body comes into that same type of position, it responds to the same way. It actually thinks that we're under stress. So if we release our shoulders down, our body believes that we're going to be in a more relaxed place. Kind of a weird thing. It's kind of like you got to fake it till you make it, right? Now pull back on your index finger Keep those other fingertips pointed down. And then pull back on your middle finger. Ooh, that's a good one. Is anybody else feeling that more than the other two? Yeah. I'll go into the symbolism in just a second. Pulling back on your ring finger. And pulling back on your little baby pinky. Yeah, so the amount of force that you're putting on your hands or your fingers should change based on the delicacy of each of those fingers. So I know that for me, the pinky finger is not able to sustain as much as, say, my thumb or my middle finger. So just be careful with it. All right, I want you to flip your hand around. So the top of the hand is going to be facing forward. Haley, I saw that you have a comment, and I'll just address it in just a moment, okay? So the top of the hand is forward. It's almost like you want somebody to kiss your hand or your rings. And I want you to turn your fingertips over towards the right. You might be feeling already a stretch in the front of the wrist and the top of the forearm here, and then also by the elbow. You take your left hand and bring it to the top of the hand, the dark meat side, and then pull back. Yeah. You're getting that deep flexion at that wrist in the other direction. Drop your shoulders down again, and I'm going to look at what we got. My right wrist has been in a ton of pain this past week. I can't really do this one. Do the best that you can. As we go through the practice, Haley, today, and anybody else who might be feeling a lot of pressure and sensitivity, do what you can. If it's not feeling great for you, you can always either opt out and just do child's pose and observe what we're doing, and then maybe return to the practice on a later day. And when you are feeling a little bit better, it's okay sometimes to do the practice on our fists. We are going to be doing plank today, where you be on your knuckles, but just be careful that you don't break at the wrist, right? So I don't literally mean to break, but break your energy at the wrist. So you want to have the top of the knuckles down for that one. You can also, if your wrist can't sustain all of that full weight, go ahead and release out of that stretch, okay? And then just make circles. If you can't sustain that type of full flexion, you can roll up your towel and then give your heels of the hands a little elevation. Notice how my fingertips and the knuckles of my other fingers are going to be lifted up, but I'm going to feel that the heel of the hand and my thumb knuckle are going to be raised up a little bit. So you're not in that full 90 degrees, but you're going to be here with the towel here. Okay, so that might be a little bit nicer for you. Some people do have wrist wraps. Let's do the other hand. Left hand forward, fingertips facing down, thumb facing away. Right hand's going to grab a hold and pull back on the thumb. I'm okay with wrist wraps as they provide a little bit of support, but just like crutches that are very helpful for when you don't want to put very much weight bearing on something, they eventually become a crutch where you don't sustain enough of that strength and the weight and stability that you need to progress and develop further. So there's much to be said about increasing your strength over time and finding that little bit of progress, but it's important that we do provide those modifications until we develop enough strength so we don't hurt ourselves even more. Pull back on your index finger. Good. And Haley, if you would like to, you can also do this particular stretch for your left hand, if that feels okay for that wrist. If it's just your right wrist that's bothering you, you can do this still for your left wrist, and you might be able to feel a little bit of that stretch. All right, pull back on that middle finger. Okay, so I promised you the symbolism behind each of these fingers. So there's actually symbolism behind these fingers, and there's a more advanced yoga practice where you get into the mudras or hand gestures, and they have a lot of symbolism related to that and how we circulate and generate energy. So our thumb is going to be associated, go ahead and pull back on your ring finger. Thumb is going to be associated with the universal self, and that means the God, divinity, everything around us, the universe, etc. The index finger is the individual self, or number one, right? We're the number one person. Our middle finger is the ego. The ring finger is for love. And the baby pinky finger, go ahead and pull back on that one, is for communication. So if you're experiencing a lot of pain or tension or stress in one particular finger more than others, you may have some fun with the symbolism behind that and areas that we might need to soften and be more suggestible to. I know for me, my middle finger is super tight, so apparently I've got some issues with my ego. All right, let's go ahead and flip it around, right? And then let the fingertips come off towards the side, shoulder stays down, right hand is gonna pull back and give you that stretch in the top of the wrist and along the forearm. Good, so if you do a lot of work with your hands, whether it's your work or if you're just constantly typing all day, these are going to be great stretches just for, coming into it, after a long day, and might be just a really nice thing to adopt into your routine, or just do it as a simple one-off. All right, go ahead and release the wrist and make circles. All right, any questions on that? We're all good to go? Thumbs up, yeah. Loose thumbs now, right? Okay, let's go ahead and come up onto our hands and knees, and we're gonna get into a tabletop position. So making your way into tabletop, with the hands directly underneath you. And Haley, if you feel like this is a little bit too much for right now, you can also try it with the knuckles, or you can even do this on your elbows and forearms. That's also an alternative that you can do with cat-cows, as we're going to be doing them today. All right, so spread the fingertips out, and I want you to bring the creases of the wrists so that they're parallel to the front edge of the mat. One hand might be a little bit more turned out than the other, and that's okay. Now I want you to imagine that right in the middle of your mat, so between right and left side, there's a seam right in between. I want you to imagine that you're going to tear that seam apart using your hands. So spread the hands apart, okay? So it should look like your hands going this way, but they're actually not even moving. You're just feeling them pull out, okay? You guys feel that? There's energy happening there. Okay, now I want you to firm your arms back. Upper arms go towards your hips and feet. Okay, it would be as if your arms are going this way. Okay, but the hands don't move, they just go out and down. Okay, you should feel a lot more broadening across the upper chest area and a lot more strength there. Press down into your fingerprints, inhale. And I want you to flip your tail up towards the sky, lift your head and crown up, firm your shoulder blades back, exhale, round the spine into your cat pose. Pull the navel in. Really tuck your chin into your chest, squeezing from the abdomen. Inhale, opening up for your cow pose. Firm those arms out, shoulders back. Yes. Exhale, round the spine into your cat. Pull the navel in, tucking chin, squeezing from the abdomen. Inhale, open up. Shoulders wide and back. Exhale, round the spine into cat. Good. Really focusing on that low belly coming up. Inhale one more time, right into your cow. And then exhale, rounding the spine, pulling up and in, and then sending it all the way back into your child's pose. Hips go back on top of heels and forehead comes down to mat. Good, rise up onto all fours and come back into your tabletop. All right, so now we're gonna have a little bit of fun. Haley, for this one, you might want to do this with your elbows on the floor, okay? But if you'd like to, you can watch and see what's gonna happen. All right, so this one is fun-ish. I have a warped sense of fun. Okay, so I want you to still imagine with the shoulders Arms firm away, shoulders firm back. I want you to imagine that your navel is being pinned up towards your spine, engaging from your core. You're going to curl your toes underneath, and you're going to hover your knees an inch off the floor. Exhale to hover the knees. Woo, good. Keep those arms separated. Yep, this should feel hard for most of us, yes? Good, and then lower the knees down to the ground. What was that? Was that good or no? All right, you guys felt that. Okay, we're gonna do this again, and we're gonna do this with the breath, okay? So with the breath, I want you to imagine that you're going to breathe like a crocodile. So you know how crocodiles have their bellies on the ground all the time? Their ribs have to expand wide when they breathe, okay? Now, I want you to feel the same exact way. Ribs expanding wide, but also lengthening out, okay? Lengthening out through tail and crown. All right, gripping through your fingerprints, curl the toes under. Shoulders are going to open wide as you split that mat in half. Good, shoulders firm back, curl the toes under, exhale, hover the knees about an inch, and breathe in for 1. Exhale, 2. In 3. Exhale, 4. Inhale. And lower the knees back down to the floor. Take a child's pose. Hips sink all the way back on top of your heels. Good. Rise up onto all fours. And then sit back, actually go ahead and sit back on top of your heels, and I'm going to demonstrate, I'm going to do a little show and tell for this next posture. Okay, so first posture that we're going to be learning today for our Sun Salutations is downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. So downward facing dog, it's a great pose. However, it may need quite a few modifications depending on how much flexibility that you do have in your hamstrings or lack thereof, right? So if you have those beef jerky hamstrings, I'm going to give you the modification to help out with that, okay? This one should not be as tough on the wrists because the wrist is going to be long and there's not going to be as much of a crease here. However, you might be experiencing that. So this might be an opportunity for you to place a towel underneath your heels of the hands to help you with that. Okay, so go ahead and just watch for a moment. Coming into downward facing dog, sometimes it's a little difficult to find how far apart our hands and our feet are. And I found that a good rule of thumb is to come into an extended child's pose might give you that general rule of thumb. So in extended child's pose, your hands are going to be extended out in front of you. Your hands are going to be wider than your shoulders. Now, if you notice that you were having trouble with your arms coming overhead without your ribs flaring earlier on, I want your hands to be a bit wider in your down dog. So starting off in your extended child's pose with hands wide. We're going to come up onto our hands and knees here. We're going to curl our toes under, and just like we were just doing with those knees hovering, you're going to hover for a moment and then send it back into our kind of pyramid type of position or triangular type of position, okay? This pose can be very challenging to get the heels all the way down on the ground, and you might even see where the body starts to round forward, especially as the hamstrings get really tight. Notice how that rounding forward is different from that big peak at the top of my hips, where I have this big hip hinge. So those of you who have that issue with not being able to get those legs straight here, I want you to come into it with the heels lifted and the knees bent. Okay, so I'd rather you have a straight and long back here as opposed to the heels and the legs straight and your shoulders slightly forward. Okay, so I really want you to feel that hip being pulled back like a slingshot and your head to be in between your arms. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it together. So come into your extended child's pose. Arms are going to be forward, nice and wide, even a little bit wider than the shoulders for some of us. I find that it's really nice, especially if you have that tension in the shoulders all together. Katie, if you can use your hands to push down on the ground, see if your bottom can come closer to your heels. There you go. That might give you a different distance overall too. Okay, from here, rise up onto all fours. It may not look like your tabletop, that's okay. Curl your toes under, and then lift the knees up as you send your hips all the way back into your downward facing dog. Okay, from here, I'd like for you to come up onto your tippy toes, bend your knees, and bring your belly towards your thighs with your tail up high. So Reem, bring your belly to your thighs. Your head goes between your arms. Yeah, feel like somebody's pulling your hips all the way back. Now I want you to have a little competition. I know this is not about competition, but I want you to have the perkiest tail. See who can be the perkiest tail. Yeah, there we go. You guys are all winners. Perky tail winners. Woo! Good stuff. And then lower the knees down. And I want you to unmute yourself and share in the chat or whatever what came up. Was that challenging? Do you have questions?
My hamstrings are super tight today.
Yeah. Did it help with bending the knees?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, good. Keep working with that. Eventually, in time, as the hamstrings do start to open up, that you're going to notice that the legs are going to get straighter and straighter. But this is not the best pose for working on hamstring flexibility, as I find that it's more about a lot of like that shoulder strength. Calves, same thing. You know, the calves definitely are going to get a workout for that too. Shoulder pain. Samir, for that one, where is it shoulder pain or is this shoulder like a burning sensation, like you're doing work? Both. Okay, where did you feel the pain and how? I wish they had the option that you could see that there's typing going on. You know, like in text messages, etc. Okay, while he's typing that, did anybody else have any other things that came up? Shoulder rotator, prior injuries for yourself. Okay. Haley, for that one, did you try with a wider shoulder, with wider hands? Good, okay. So yeah, try really wide, like fingers are practically coming off of the mat and you're having difficulty like keeping the only thing that's actually on the mat might be your thumb and your index finger, okay? That's gonna help out quite a bit just for that shoulder flexibility. In time, getting that external rotation is going to open up that ability to have your hands a little bit closer. You don't want them super narrow, but you just want them to feel comfortable enough where the shoulders can actually depress, okay, and drop down away from your neck. All right, let's see. Okay, and that's where I have issues without them slipping out of place. Yeah. And in time, you know, we just start to develop that strength and it's just little by little. Samir, did that help answer your question? I don't think that I got a response from you. We'll move along. Did anybody notice their hands were slipping on the mat? Yep. Okay. Saucy paws. Okay. With saucy paws. Haley, I felt the exact same way when I first started yoga. I had very little upper body strength because I came from soccer, which does nothing for your upper body, and running. So I eventually developed a lot of upper body strength through this yoga practice and having kids by mom arms. Fat babies really help out with your upper body strength. Okay, Annette's smiling because she knows. Okay, so for the saucy paws, what I want you to do is use your towel. You're gonna fold it up. It doesn't have to be, this is actually really skinny, but just even fold it up in this way where you can place it at the top of your mat. So you're not gonna use it to actually wipe off your hands, but you're gonna use it to provide a grip for your hands throughout the practice, okay? And it just stays on your mat the whole time, so that as you come into down dog several times throughout the practice, you're not always having to like wipe off your hands, etc. Okay. Sometimes it can be bettered with a yoga mat, you know, like a different yoga mat. However, I don't think that that's always necessary. And I find that a towel is a very inexpensive alternative to buying a brand new yoga mat. Okay. No other questions? You guys ready to go for more? Yep. Cool. Let's do it. Okay. So we're going to come into downward facing dog one more time. Okay. And then see if those modifications can help some of you as we come into that next time. We can come into it from our extended child's pose again. If you eventually in time, as you continue to practice, you won't need to come into this to know how far your hands and feet are. You'll just know exactly where it is from muscle memory. Okay. So coming up into your, onto your hands and knees, you'll curl your toes under and then lift the knees up as you send your hips way back. Maybe the knees will bend, the hips will pike up towards the sky. You're gonna let your head hang down in between your arms with your ears right between them. Good, take another full breath in here. Exhale out. Good, and slowly, I want you to look at your thumbs. You're gonna walk your feet forward to the top edge of your mat. Bend your knees enough so that your feet can be directly underneath you and supporting you. Your hands don't even need to touch any longer. So walk your feet forward a little bit more, Annette. Yeah, so your hands don't even need to do the work here. And now your knees are bent, so your belly is touching onto your thighs. Okay, so notice that my belly is actually touching my thighs here. Okay, and then I'm lengthening through the back of the legs through my sit bones going up towards the sky. I want you to relax your head all the way down. This is one of our poses. This is called standing forward fold. Let the arms hang down here. We're going to come up with a flat back all the way up to stand. So what that means is you're going to lift your belly up about halfway. Back is long like a table. Good. Flip your tail up even more and then bring your chest out. There you go. Nice, Annette. That's a good correction. That's a good correction. 2, Abdullah. Good. I know. You can still keep those knees bent a lot. Now come all the way up, uprighting the pelvis fully until you're standing in your mountain pose. Okay. So mountain pose, big surprise, is going to be the first posture of our Sun Salutations sequence. So you've actually learned it already. It's actually the last posture as well. So yay, you've already known, you know 2 poses within the sequence, the first and the last one, mountain pose. All right, so from here, we're gonna go further forward. We're gonna inhale, circle the arms out wide and reach the hands all the way up towards the sky into upward hand salute. Now your hands can be either touching or parallel to each other. And I want you to keep your ribs down as we were doing on our back earlier. Good, this is the second pose and the second to last one. Exhale, bring your arms down by your side for mountain. Good. Inhale, circle the arms out wide and high, upward hand salute. Exhale, I want you to bring your arms out wide, and this time we're going to tip from the pelvis. Tip, flip your tail up like you're coming into your cow pose, and then lean forward with your belly. like you're a big old airplane here. Bend your knees and bring belly to thighs as you come into standing forward fold. So you just did mountain, upward hand salute, standing forward fold, the first 3 poses of our sequence. And actually the last 3 poses of our sequence as well. Good, now coming up with the flat back halfway, let the arms travel out wide and then reach all the way up, back into your upward hand salute. And then exhale, the arms circle wide and down into your mountain. So those are the first 3 poses and the last 3 poses of the 12 pose series. So you actually know half of the poses already just from those movements. Yay! Haley, you're in now. Okay. From here, inhale, reach the arms up, upward hand salute. Exhale, circle the arms out wide, tip from the pelvis, lean forward, going all the way down into your standing forward fold. Let the head hang down. Now move your hands to the outsides of your feet. Good. All right. And Michaela, you're going to want to be at the top edge of your mat if I didn't explain that before. So come all the way forward, walk your feet forward. There we go. Yeah. Good. Okay, so from here, I want you to step your right foot far back behind you as possible, kicking it out and back. You want to have your left knee, so it's stacked directly over your left ankle. If the knee is too far forward and you didn't go far enough with your back leg, then you're going to be in this position and you're not going to have as much stability in your knee. And we need a lot of that side to side stability in our knee. All right, so lunge. Girls, move the boobs to the inside of the thigh, okay, the inside of the knee, and the arm to the outside. You might get a lot of deodorant on your knees from this pose. I know I always walk around with deodorant on my knees because of this pose. Good, hips down, chest up, look up and smile. Good, and then exhale, right foot steps forward, standing forward fold. Woof. Good. Inhale, reverse the swan dive, come all the way up, upward hand salute. And then exhale, arms circle wide and down, mountain pose. Inhale, circle the arms out and up, upward hand salute. Exhale, fold forward, hinging from the hips, bending your knees, belly to your thighs, head drops down. This time, left foot steps back. Inhale, left foot all the way back as far as it'll let you go. Trying to get that right knee to be on top of your right ankle. Keeping that back leg straight and lifted. Leslie, see if you can lift your back leg up with this one. I know it makes it really intense. Is that okay for you? Okay, good. Looking up a little bit. Ivan, you want to have your ankle that it's directly underneath your knee. Yeah, there we go. Pushing back through that back heel a little bit more helps a lot with that one. Woo, hip flexors, holy hip flexors. Good, stepping left foot forward, standing forward fold. Inhale, reverse the swan dive, come all the way up. Upward hand salute. Exhale to mountain pose. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up, upward hand salute. Exhale, fold forward, hinging from the hips, taking it down. Inhale, right foot steps back into lunge. Exhale, left foot steps back to meet the right, downward facing dog. Good. So you can be in a bent knee variation with this one as well. Annette, I want you in a bent knee variation with this one. There you go, hips back, even more. Push with your hands a lot. Yeah, so like a slingshot, like your hips get pulled back behind you. Yes, there you go. All right, now we're gonna go into our lunge position again from down dog, okay? This one's a little tricky. I want you to come up onto your tippy toes. Round your shoulders forward. Bring your shoulders over your wrists almost and step your right foot between your thumbs as you look there. Good. You might find that it's really hard to get it there, okay? And if it stops short, grab the ankle with your hand, hop it forward, okay? Or if it's just a little shy of your fingers, heel toe the foot forward, okay? It's important, and I'll explain that in a future class. Good. Left foot steps forward, standing forward fold. Inhale, reverse the swan dive, reach all the way up, upward hand salute. Exhale to your mountain pose. Inhale, upward hand salute, reaching tall. Exhale, fold forward, hinge from the hips, and take it all the way down. Inhale, left foot steps back into lunge. Hips down, chest lifts, looking up. Smile. Exhale, right foot steps back, downward facing dog. All right, we're gonna incorporate our next pose, which is plank. Okay, Haley, if your wrist is bothering you, I would opt out of this one. Just do child's pose or stay in your down dog. Then we're gonna inhale, come forward, shoulders over your wrists. Now it's important that as we bring our shoulders over our wrists, that we do not have our tail up in the air. Okay, I want you to move your tail towards your heels as you pull your navel in. Separate the arms as you tear your mat apart and firm your shoulders back. Exhale, downward facing dog. Look between the thumbs. You're gonna round your shoulders forward as you step your left foot to the top edge of the mat. Good. Hips down, chest lifts, looking up. Exhale, right foot forward. So Reem, grab a hold of your ankle and hop it forward. Yeah, there we go. Right foot steps forward, standing forward fold, guys. Nice. Belly to thighs, hips are high. Inhale, coming up with that flat back. Lengthen your heart forward as you reach up. And exhale to mountain pose. So we have two more poses that we're going to put together to complete the sequence, and then we're going to do the sequence one more time just as a cohesive round of it, okay? Don't worry, we'll do this sequence every single time that we practice several times. So you'll get the idea of this by the end of the semester. Inhale, circle the arms up, upward hand salute. Exhale, fold forward, hinging from the hips and taking it all the way down. Inhale, right foot steps back into lunge. Hips down, chest lifts, looking up. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Left foot meets the right, hips are high and way back. Inhale, come forward into plank, shoulders over your wrists. Keep those legs actively working. You're gonna lower your knees down to the ground. The knees come down behind your hips. Okay, so they're not underneath you in a tabletop. I want them to be down from where they came from plank. Now, flip up your tail like you're coming into your cow pose, and then lean your chest forward between your thumbs into your knees, chest, chin pose. Okay, there we go. Elbows tuck in towards the side of the body. Your tail is up, and your tail is up enough that you can actually put your hands underneath your pelvis, and your pelvis is not even touching the ground. Okay, so you guys, can you get your hands underneath there? Yep. There should be enough room underneath your pelvis for a small guinea pig to travel under there. Okay? A guinea pig. All right, now we're gonna smash the guinea pig. Okay, smash the guinea pig onto the floor. Pelvis goes down to the ground. Tops of feet to the floor. I want you to inhale. Think of your spine lengthening out and up. Good. Lifting from your chest. Your head comes along for the ride. So not lifting with the head, but lifting with the chest. The head comes up a little bit. Good. So the elbows are going to be bent in this position. And I want you to have your hands a little bit further back behind your ream. So by your sides and by your ribs. Bend your elbows a lot. So come closer to the ground, all the way down on the ground. And I want your elbows to be tucked in tight. Like you don't want the tickle monster to come and tickle your armpits. Good. This is cobra. Exhale, lower the chest down. You're gonna either curl your toes under to push through plank into down dog or use your knees to push into down dog. Okay, so knees, down dog, or plank, down dog. Look between the thumbs, inhale, right foot steps forward, all the way there. Get it there, nice. Yep. All right, looking up all the way there, guys. Ivan, Reem, grab the ankle. So what that looks like, when you grab the ankle, grab the outside and hop it forward. Yep, there it is. I know, it's kind of crude, isn't it? And then exhale, left foot steps forward. Inhale, reverse the swan dive, come all the way up, upward hand salute. And then exhale, the arms down by your side for mountain. All right, one more time. Inhale, arms go up. Exhale, fold forward, hinging from the hips, taking it down. Inhale, left foot steps back into lunge. Hips down, chest lifts, look up. Exhale, right foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale, shoulders forward into plank. Move your tail towards your heels. Good. Exhale, the knees down, tail up, chest and chin to the floor. Chest comes down right between your thumbs. Lean forward as you do this. Good. Keeping those hips up for right now. That's knees, chest, chin pose. Hips come down to the ground. Smash the guinea pig, tops of feet to the floor. Lift your heart 2 inches. Elbows squeeze in tight to the body. Lower down, press it back, downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot steps forward, top edge of the mat, all the way there. Looking up and smiling. Exhale, right foot forward, standing forward fold. Inhale, reverse the swan dive, come all the way up. Upward hand salute. And exhale to mountain pose. Good, just take a moment here and notice what you just felt. All right, and go ahead and come down onto your seat. I'm going to open it up for questions, comments, thoughts. Hot? Anybody hot? Yeah? Sweaty? Yeah, hamstrings? Yep, wrists. Let's see you guys with the wrists. Yeah, this is a really nice practice to kind of relieve those wrists. And over time, your wrists are not going to be bearing as much of that weight because the core is going to be engaging so much that it doesn't feel like you're actually using so much energy to put down into the ground. It should actually feel like you're rebounding that energy up through the arm and into your core, okay? That happens in time, okay? As we continue to practice, as the body gets stronger, we will feel that we're gonna feel less pressure in our wrist. And so that's unfortunately what happens a lot of the times as we're beginning the practice. We start feeling all these aches and pains, and over time, as we become better at the practice, we actually become more efficient with our energy. All right, any other questions, comments? You guys are all being a little bit quiet today. Or maybe I'm just thorough, I don't know. We're good? All right, let's come on to our backs. We need a little bit of a cooling for that heat building practice. All right, so onto your back, and I want you to actually have your knees bent here, and you're gonna heel toe your feet to the outer edges of the mat, so that little pinky toes are hanging off the sides. Spread your arms out wide into a T shape and just relax your shoulders into the ground. It's okay to allow the fingertips to naturally curl towards the palms. We're just gonna imagine that our knees are like windshield wipers, so our feet are actually not gonna be moving, but our knees are gonna be tipping from side to side. Over towards the right, inhaling up, and then exhaling, tipping the knees over to the left. And just going through side to side. So continuing on with that, as I talk a little bit about that practice that we just did, that Sun Salutations. And the Sun Salutations, known as Surya Namaskar,
namaskar. And we start to recognize that namaskar kind of sounds very similar to namaste, which means to bow. Okay, the namas means to bow. And what we're doing is we're literally bowing to the rising sun. And so this practice is typically designed for a morning practice or a time to help us warm up ourselves, either to the day or for our practice or whatever it is that we're going to be engaging in. So it's a great standalone practice going through a good 10 sun salutations. It's a great 10-minute warm up for your day, and just doing that can help you to feel like you're kind of greasing up all those joints. And so you feel like that well-oiled machine to help begin your day. All right, take another breath in here. And then just come back to stillness, keeping those knees bent still. You can allow the knees to collapse in towards each other. I just want you to close your eyes. Relax your mouth and jaw. Soften into the ground. And just feel that nice grounded sensation. Maybe you feel a slight buzzing, tingling. And that's just that energy circulating throughout. And it's important the way that we start our day, as it sets this tone for the rest of the way that we will see and feel. And if we feel like we are welcoming our day, we welcome all the things that come along with the day. We come into our experiences with gratitude, with curiosity, with acceptance. Take one more deep breath. And exhale all the way out. And with those arms nice and wide, I just want you to imagine that you're closing a book with your arms. You may want to bring your feet together as well. Let the knees tip over. The hands will go towards each other. Press your top hand into the ground, extending your top leg, and then easing your way up to a comfortable seat. Let's bring our hands together at our heart center. And if you'd like to, you can unmute yourself for our closing. Otherwise, the light within me bows to the light within you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste. All right. Thank you guys so much.